This is potentially the craziest piece of information I have found in the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef, and I think it's only about to get crazier. I have my investigative journalism hat on. I have been digging deep in the Reddit threads on Twitter, and I feel like we may be sitting on a bombshell. I think something is about to drop that's going to change the course of how we view not only 616 in LA, but Meet the Grams and potentially this whole beef. Now, if you guys want me to do a whole video on all of the information that's been out, what's a lie, what's a truth, who's lying in what song, let me know, because there is a lot of evidence that's coming out to suggest that there are truths being told and that there may be lies being told on both of these sides. But what I think is going to come next is different than anything we've seen so far, and here's why. Let me show you what I'm talking about before you're like, what's going on? So, okay, let me back up. Let's take a look really quickly at this mole situation, okay? So there's this whole theory, right, that Drake had a mole in his camp. And if we look on Genius, search Kendrick. Actually, it'll probably be up here. Yeah. So 616 in LA. Kendrick says on this song, are you finally ready to play Have You Ever? Let's see. Have you ever thought that OVO is working for me? Fake bully. I hate bullies. You must be a terrible person. Everyone inside your team is whispering that you deserve it. Now, this line is going to age incredibly well depending on what actually comes out in terms of information. But just looking at this line, this means that there are multiple people in Drake's crew that feel like Drake deserves the downfall that is coming from Kendrick Lamar here. Pause. Maybe. I don't know. But the other thing to notice, okay, at the beginning of this song, and Kendrick apparently has taken away all copyright from... So let me quickly play it.
Hey, coaches and consultants, come here.
The beginning of this song has a weird noise, and I'm going to tie this all together. But the beginning of this song has a very weird noise, okay? Now just listen to this. Now that's 14 seconds before Kendrick even starts the song. That nobody really looked into before. But if you remember what Kendrick did on Euphoria... My cat's trying to bite me right now. Just take a look at the beginning of Euphoria. You remember what Kendrick did?
Euphoria.
And that was, in reverse, played. I think it was... This was the reverse audio.
Euphoria. Hirofi.
Everything they say about me is true.
Everything they say about me is true, right? So Kendrick has been very intentional with what he puts in the intro of a song. So why put 14 seconds of a random sound? Now here we go. I just want you to hear it again. Remember that. Remember the sound. Let's quickly go back though to what was the mole's name?
Drake, didn't you?
On the mole's name on Twitter. I think it was... Hold up. I gotta get this guy's name right. It was like items stolen. Let me grab it. It was it like Ebony Prince or something? Yeah, okay, here it is. All right. So, let's take a look what this guy has been saying. We got to go back a couple days here, but there's been a lot on his page. and a lot of hints that we might not even fully know and understand what he's talking about yet. Damn, he has posted quite a bit. What's the date today? The 13th. Okay. So this was the initial post. So if you remember, Kendrick said, "Have you ever thought that OVO is working for me?" And if you remember, on the cover art to 616 in LA, we had the teaser where it was this Maybach glove, and nobody really knew what it was. It was a Maybach glove and what looked like maybe like a pattern or some sort of fabric behind it. And then we had the Meet the Grahams artwork. And in the Meet the Grahams artwork, we had multiple items that appeared to be Drake's, right? We had actual pharmacy records that had Drake's name on it. We had a jewelry store receipt that had Drake's name on it. And we had Ozempic of Drake. So a lot of people were speculating where this came from, who had it. And academics initially had said that this was Drake's father's suitcase that was stolen. But then on The Heart Part 6, Drake basically tried to run with this narrative that he was actually setting up Kendrick the whole time, and that he gave fake information to Kendrick, and they took the bait. You know, the ones that you're getting your stories from, they all clowns. He also said, "You waited for this moment, overcome with desperation. We plotted for a week, and then we fed you the information. A daughter that's 11 years old, I bet he takes it. We thought about giving a fake name or a destination, but you so thirsty, you're not concerned with investigation. Instead, you in that Venice studio, it's a celebration. You gotta learn to fact-check things and be less impatient. Your fans are rejoicing, thinking this is my expiration. Even the picture you use, the jokes and the medication, the Maybach glove, and the drug he used is for less inflation. Master manipulator, you bit on the speculation. You dumb and reactive. I'm petty with dedication." Now, a lot of people were saying that this means that Drake admitted to basically feeding Kendrick Lamar fake information and waiting for Kendrick to take that bait and use it, which he clearly did in his song. But the daughter issue is completely separate. I think that's for a separate video. We still don't know if the daughter is real. Does this mean that Drake fed Kendrick fake information about having a daughter and thought he would use that? It's possible. It's possible. On the video, there were those pictures of a girl, and then there was an Instagram of this 11-year-old or 12-year-old girl that people thought he could have been using as, you know, bait in this sense. But then there's also a critique of, were you using an 11 or 12-year-old girl as bait unknowingly and putting her life in risk and danger and her public image in danger, which also is extremely questionable? Possible. But let's take a look back at the Meet the Grahams cover art, okay? Because you remember what it looked like. Now, we had somebody on Twitter that I was showing you post this video.
Dear Adonis, I'm sorry that man is your father. Let me be honest. It takes a man to be a man. Your dad is not responsive. I look at him and wish your grandpa would have wore a condom. I'm sorry that you gotta grow up and then stand behind him. Life is hard, I know. The challenges always go beat us home. Sometimes our parents make mistakes that affect us until we grown. And you're a good kid that need good leadership. Let me be your mentor.
So, for context, he says, number one, King Kendrick Lamar is not a liar and I'm not a thief. Number two, Aubrey Drake Graham and Mr. Livingston Allen, which I didn't know that was Academic's real name, have until noon Monday to retract your claims of theft, or my attorney and I will exhaust every legal option available. What this video is basically showing is that the items were stolen. Sorry, let me retract my statement before I get sued. What this is basically showing is that the items that were thought to be stolen were actually left by Drake and are now in the possession of this person who is not on Drake's team, meaning that there was actually a mole. It may not have been from Drake's team. It may have just been someone who came into this information and passed it along to Kendrick's team. But this does mean that there is some sort of truth to the fact that this information was given to Kendrick and that these items are real and were not implanted to make Kendrick look bad and use something that was not actually Drake's. This means the Ozempic medication was Drake's. This means the other pill bottle was Drake's. This means that he left these things at a hotel. And this person who is acting like the villain in Batman, acting like the Joker here, actually has a bit of information that we don't know about. So he's basically zooming up and down, showing the shirt. And, you know, obviously things weren't left this way. I think this person, whoever this is displaying this in a way that makes it feel like we're watching a freaking heist movie or something. But if you keep going, you keep watching this, he shows all the items. He shows, like, you know, the Daily Eagle, which I believe is a, yeah, the Brooklyn Eagle, which is a Brooklyn newspaper. And I think, does he show anything? And then he shows a view of the city at the end here. So he's basically showing this is where he is. He's in New York. And with this grainy ass video, he's showing that he knows something we don't. Now, the next piece of information, which is extremely important to the rest of this video, is right here. He says, to Mr. Aubrey Graham or Drake, may this photo help jog your memory as to where you discarded those items. The issue in the photo should also jog your memory. Jimmy Brooks would not have been proud of you that night. Sorry if you're hearing background noise. They're taking the trash out of my neighborhood. I'm gonna let it pass for half a second. But listen, this picture, January 22nd, 2023, 3:19 a.m. in the lobby. This is Drake right here. And a lot of people thought that this was a baby at first. Academics even made a joke about it looking like Krishan Rock's baby. But this person right here is not a baby, in fact. This person is actually named, let me see if I can find his name. I think it was Christopher Alvarez. Christopher Alvarez. Now, this is where things start to get crazy, and this is, again, me moving into areas that all of this is alleged at this point, and I'm just trying to piece things together for you guys to see where this leads. But Christopher Alvarez, who is apparently a journalist, and he has been spotted with Drake. He has a condition where he's in a wheelchair, okay? And a lot of people say that he actually may have a ventilator with him on the chair, okay? So if you remember that intro to 616 LA, 616 in LA, where Kendrick plays that 14 seconds and we were wondering what that is. Fans have speculation now that that ventilator is associated with this man right here, Christopher Alvarez. Now, I don't know what the association is, but if he has a ventilator, it could be Kendrick referring to the fact that he knows something about this person, and that ventilator sound is going to come up later in a sense where it'll make sense to us, you know. But without diving too far down the rabbit hole just yet, let's just look at his story. So on his story,
regalo de madres de mis hijos.
He posted
Aquí estamos celebrando el Día de la Madre con mi.
But then he said this, stay tuned, 5 p.m. Somebody said, Christopher about to drop the article of the year, BK Eagle. Now, what was BK Eagle? And he said he's going live tonight at 6 p.m., okay? So by the time you watch this video, we might have more information, which we'll do. But just take a look here. Okay, Brooklyn Eagle, the newspaper that was in the video, that we just watched, okay, right here, we had the Brooklyn Eagle right here, the Daily Eagle. It's a lot of tea we gotta sip right now. I'm sipping coffee though. But what is Kendrick alluding to? Now back to the tweet. He said Jimmy Brooks would not have been proud of you that night. Okay? Now Jimmy Brooks, I think he was referring to Jimmy Brooks from Degrassi. Jimmy Brooks is Drake's character in Degrassi, who also was in a wheelchair, known as Wheelchair Jimmy, similar to this Christopher Alvarez guy, who is in a wheelchair. Now, what is Christopher Alvarez's... What is his role in all of this? Why was he with Drake at 3 a.m. in a hotel lobby? And why is he being brought up by the mole who holds blackmail information potentially against Drake? What did Drake do to Christopher Alvarez? Or what involvement does Christopher Alvarez have with Drake and Kendrick in this beef? There's even a thread here. What happened that night with Christopher Alvarez? Jimmy Brooks would not be proud of you that night. And so there's all these theories, but there's also this ventilator theory, where people are going over. A user here posted a week ago saying the beginning of 616 in LA sounded like a ventilator. I'm a former respiratory therapist, and he may be onto something, considering the weird hotel photo showing a chronic track patient on a portable vent. And then somebody says, are you talking about the person on the stroller? Bro, what is going on, man? What the F? Bro, I can't with this anymore. What have we gotten into? It's survival. I think somebody lying. Smell somebody lying. I don't see no fire. What's happening here? Now, I'm going to wait until this man drops a live video tonight to see what's actually going on here. But I feel like we're part of uncovering one of the craziest stories in this beef and maybe in music. Because if this has to do with implications further than we even think right now, there's some tie-ins that I do not even know if I want to go into. I don't even want to make connections right now. But Drake was at that hotel that night. There is evidence of Drake being at the Mark Hotel. Okay, this is what the Mark Hotel Drake. So here's the video of Drake at that hotel, same lobby that he was in. This is in October, so it's a different night. But there's something crazy. So, there's people that have theories right here. Let's just watch a TikTok.
Thanks for correcting me in my last video. Christopher Alvarez, the person who was with Drake's entourage at the Mark on January 22, 2023, was spotted on February 11th, 2023 at the same place the video with Drake's old possessions was recorded at. The view, tiles, and railings are all the same. Watch. I muted the audio just to be safe, but that is Christopher Alvarez chilling at the Mark Hotel. Now we're going to compare the skyline from the original video that just leaked with all the possessions in the cover art for Meet the Grams. I also muted this video. Watch the full thing on my page now. So this account was just created in May 2024. And the only thing that reveals themselves is the pinned post with this picture about Bloodline, the game, volume 46, which is actually posted on Instagram by this account on Instagram. So this is a little breakdown of...
So real quick, but basically what he's saying here is that Christopher Alvarez was spotted with the same view that's in the second half of the video we first looked at here, where the items from the Meet the Grahams cover art are all lined up. And so I don't know exactly if he's saying Christopher Alvarez is the mole, is the person exposing this information, or if he's simply associated with, or if he just happened to be at the Mark Hotel where Drake was also spotted, and he's just confirming that this is him.
Of where everyone was positioned based on the videos that were just leaked. Apparently, these are the contents from Meet the Grahams cover art hanging from a window. And Drake seemingly hints to this on his song Red Button. And apparently this is evidence that Drake is planting his father's...
Leave your label devastated, trying to see might be inside my circle like I'm getting graded, man. All this luggage like I'm getting traded.
Suitcase in the hotel lobby. Currently, Ebony Prince 2K24 on Twitter is saying a lot of cryptic messages and insinuating that Drake hasn't fully covered up his tracks. Ebony Prince 2K24 says Drake needs to jog his memory because the timestamps in this picture is actually the same day Drake was forced to stop his New York concert after a fan fell from the second floor balcony into the crowd below. And some of the receipts are all lining up and they're real. These are electronic versions of the same receipts that was in the video that was just leaked. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch my previous...
So this is interesting. Basically, he's saying that there may be more to this story, and there's a lot of evidence that places Drake obviously there and with those receipts at the same time. But let's just really quickly check out if Ebony Prince 2K24 has anything else on here. So he said, you've had many things discarded on your behalf over the years. I wonder if you can remember them all. You're blocking my money with your lies, so you have forced me to get it another way. Push-ups, really, should have kept that to yourself. Had you not lied, I would have just waited until you died to sell my goods. So he's saying, I could have waited and kept these things, but because you lied on either Kendrick or me or whatever, or maybe he's talking about this, just the whole mole situation and lying and saying he set this all up. 2 black American men became unemployed at this exact moment, and you made an enemy. That's the screenshot. January 1st, 2023. So somebody said here he started setting them up in January 2023. Jake is a genius. A new video of Meet the Grahams items to service. So this person is just trying to say that Drake had this whole master plan and set up Kendrick since January 2023 of last year. I don't believe that to be true. I could be wrong. You can let me know in the comments if I'm missing something there. But I think that Drake had a tour date that day. January 22nd. I don't know exactly. Was that his New York stop? I know we were in New York that day. Let's just keep going. Let's see what else he says, because I don't know exactly who he's talking about here. What Nino said, children of Harlem, stand up. P.S. We don't want to hear you say the N-word no more, nor any of the rest of you foreign culture appropriating savages. How do we know you're not like us? We never came back after we curse out the service providers. 6 months later, the circus returned. Rejected teen drinker accused of smear campaign against swanky New York City hotel says he's sober now. A rejected underage drinker accused of launching a wild smear campaign against the swanky Mark Hotel, which was where Drake was staying and where the video evidence is shown, in Manhattan, complete with paid protesters, said Friday he's now on the wagon. Theodore, 19, who allegedly hatched the bizarre revenge plot after repeatedly trying to buy drinks at the hotel with a fake ID, told the Post he's been sober since January. The Upper East Side teen and son of a prominent doctor said his former drink of choice was the powerfully boozy Long Island iced tea. Listen, I was young. It was a whole bunch of things. I sobered up. The teen allegedly grew up. What's so... Okay, so this has to do with Weintraub and other protesters allegedly also harassed VIP hotel guests, such as the rapper Drake, on July 17th, according to lawsuits. But the teen said Friday he loves Drake and even went to one of his recent concerts. It was a fantastic show. I enjoyed it. I got nothing against Drake. So let's really quickly take a look. Let's look up this guy's name, Theodore. All right. Theodore Weintraub, I feel like. Yeah, Theodore Weintraub. Drake. A wealthy teenager. Luxury hotel sues teen for alleged smear campaign after declining to serve him alcohol. So he was underage and he wanted to be served alcohol, and then he sued the hotel for smear campaigning him. Hotel has hosted Drake, Angelina Jolie. The son of a prominent New York cardiologist allegedly repeatedly attempted to buy alcohol at the Mark, a luxury property with customers like hip-hop star Drake and Angelina Jolie. A group of protesters allegedly recruited by Mr. Weintraub got into a physical altercation with fans of Drake when the rapper was staying there last month. Interesting. Okay, so there's some connection there, but I don't know exactly what yet. Don't y'all forget now, November 9th, 2024, auction of items before the ball starts. This is on some, like, V for Vendetta shit. Like, this is crazy. A historical House of Ebony presents Bloodline Volume 46. What is this? The founder of the House of Ebony posted Drake and other stars on his Instagram in 2016. Around that time was a thing called the 24K Ball, which I can't find any info about. Larry Ebony also moved from Brooklyn to Dallas, not too far from Jay Prince's home of Houston. This is 2016. Interesting. A ballroom house father is the one in possession of the evidence and is possibly extorting Drake. This might be the funniest turn this beef has taken. I think someone who worked for the house and got treated poorly by Drake, who sought out Kendrick and dropped crazy receipts at his doorstep. So this is what the Instagram is. And it's, I guess, an event in New York City. You guys let me know what you think all this part means. I think we can go deeper into it, but there's a lot going on here. Okay, so November 9th, he said he might auction off these items as well after that event. God's plan, funny how that works, isn't it? I'm not an extortionist or career killer. I'm a black American capitalist. You have inserted yourself in between me and my money. Move, humble yourself, and tell the truth. I wonder what truth he's talking about. This is why I tell companies I don't conduct company business on my personal cell phone, but since you're so finicky, they insisted I install WhatsApp. Subpar service is not in line with the Forbes standards. That's what you pay for. So why would you think that there would be no proof? Rest in peace, the modern godfather of Black America. Tonight would have been another good one, I'm sure. He only meant well and was well received by many. So let's keep going. Better humans have left far more valuable things, and the process remains the same. You get a call, email, or text about lost items. Either pickup, shipment, or disposal is arranged. So maybe he's saying that he actually did call, or a hotel worker did call about left items, and they didn't respond, and he actually did have those items at some point. Your teams are applying pressure, I can't lie. Big ups to Mr. Allen and the Jamaican Connection. He told me a few more crawled through that hotel in Jacumba. But in the House of Ebony, we use pressure to make diamonds in the form of legends, icons, and pioneers. Rest in peace to Mr. Michael K. Williams, aka Mike Ebony. May both of your families smile on this Mother's Day. 48 Laws of Power. This is why we must always treat others nicely. You never know whom you're dealing with. Now back to the story. Your guys' interruptions are throwing me off track. To be honest, I thought you were going to at least say you were mistaken by now. But okay, I only want to go with the story most know about because, well, you know, how does the rabbit hole need to go deeper? As he's referencing on Kendrick's Not Like Us, he says, let's actually go to the lyrics. The rabbit hole is still deep. I can go further, I promise. Basically saying he has more information. And I thought that this was in reference to what he was talking about on that song, specifically in the cover art, but it maybe has to do with Meet the Grahams. I've only unzipped the small part of my knapsack. Tune in later. Okay, do you love me? Hey, Cece, do you love me? You should do better in investigating yourself. How could this be Larry? CC, clearly Canadian, yet he simultaneously worked on 77th Street for 2 years. They're talking about how could this be the suitcase of Larry. I think Larry Graham is Drake's uncle. Is it also the name of his dad? What's his dad's name? Drake, dad name. Dennis. Okay. So it couldn't be Larry's. CC, could that be Lil CC? Lil CC on the beat. Yeah, he simultaneously worked on 77th Street. All right, I don't want to get too distracted. We could go down a lot of rabbit holes. Girl tries running at Drake. I've stood next to you in the rain to keep the paps and fanatics away. I became essential during your stays, having to cancel vacations and all to ensure things like this didn't happen. So basically he's saying he knows Drake. He could be the mole. He sounds like he knows Drake to some degree and was working for him. I've stood next to you in the rain, probably for the hotel, but probably in some security fashion for Drake too. Sorry for the hiatus. I've just leave this here in case we must. Okay, that second picture, nobody ever knew. Mandated reporter training, identifying and reporting child abuse and maltreatment. Certificate of completion. Interesting. Now back to the story. Someone asked how to make it stop. 5 words. King Kendrick got the number and his team too, as well as a quite riveting email that would send shivers down your spine. When Officer Viola and his partner Officer Blank entered my booth, they informed me that since there was a complainant present who alleged assault, they would have to take me in unless they saw footage of otherwise. I then had to locate said footage while encircled by them. Were it not for the report I had with these guys, I wouldn't have even gotten that. Lucky for me, that was a breeze. There was no need to call Miss Edward again. I think he's insinuating that they were contacting this guy and saying that he was part of a potential assault, but that he had footage to suggest otherwise and had to give it to law enforcement. Again, this is very cryptic. Now, as the day turns and the clock counts down, how can I not honor this man? Your strength and fortitude gave rise to a network that spans the globe. Your leadership and ingenuity have carried the house and the scene through. It's time for some bigger flowers. On this day, we, the House of Ebony, bid a heavenly holiday to our founding mother, Richard Sears Ebony. In her immortal words, ebony power, ebony power, ebony power. Here on the biggest platform available, we salute you, our living founding father, Mr. Larry. Hold up, let's take a quick second. Who is Larry?
This is Ebony Prince 2K24. Larry Prelo is the person behind the account for Ebony.
So they think this is the guy who we're looking at.
Prince 2K24. Let me explain.
And for sake of people watching, this is all alleged. I'm not saying that any of these things are true.
And since this account appeared basically yesterday, this is the main thing that's been pinned on the account on Twitter, which apparently is a show called Bloodline The Game. So I tried to find some research and I really couldn't find much on this dude. Fortunately, I was able to find on Reddit that he's a producer for that same show. So my thing is he's just trying to get some free promo out of this. And there's actually other theories as well, so bear with me. I found this thread on Reddit, and people are speculating that he worked for Drake and maybe, you know, had a bad work experience working with Drake and was given these items on his doorstep. There's no evidence, though. But as you could see, Larry Ebony, aka Ebony Prince 2K24, aka Larry Prelo. So what's the correlation between Drake and Larry Prelo? It's still developing. We still don't know why he's doing this, why he's being so cryptic on the account on Twitter.
Have you ever wondered?
Okay, let's keep going because there's only a few more. While we may not be wealthy, what we lack in finances, we make up for in spades with resources. To all the bloggers who still assume to know something, you are all a part of the problem, which hopefully this exposes as well. This conversation is between associates that none of you know. Shut the F up and watch the show. Well, I think that is officially a message to me to shut the F up and watch the show. And we will be updating when we find out more information. But what in the world is going on? I feel like we are on the cusp of learning some crazy things about Kendrick, Drake, the beef, the association to that hotel, to that night, and to those items. But you let me know in the comments what you want to hear more of, what you think, what your theories are, and what in the world is happening right now. My name is Jeremy Hecht. Follow, subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next video.